welcome to another video, and we've got this 65 amps. We're going to do a part 2 on this. More information has come to light on this amp, and I've decided to do a little bit of testing and checking up on it just to see what's mainly this VVR. If we look at we're looking at the cathode voltage at the minute, and if we drop this VVR down, you can see the cathode voltage drops and increases. That's because it's dropping the HT, the B plus voltage, and that's how this VVR works. It works by reducing the B plus. It also reduces it right across the amp as well, in case anybody were thinking, well, does it just reduce it on the power tubes but not on the preamp tubes? It does actually reduce it it reduces it right across all nodes. So that's the first thing with it. And it uses a little MOSFET transistor. So that item there is what is controlling this virtual voltage regulator, and that is an N-channel MOSFET transistor, number W15NK90Z. So normally a bit strange to find transistors in an hand-wired amp, but it's not really interfering with the signal as such, it's just interfering with the voltage. So I'm just going to check the bias on this amp just for curiosity. So we've got 23.9 divided by 250, because that's the resistor that we've got there. That cathode resistor is 250 ohms. That gives us 95.6 milliamps. So we take away 5%, equals 90 milliamps. We divide that by 2, that comes out at 45 milliamps, and we times that by 374, and these valves are running at 16.98 watts, so just shy of 17 watts, and they're dissipated at 14, so they're 3 watts over according to that, which is a little naughty, I suppose, but it seems to be a common trend these days, overbiasing amplifiers. I'm just going to take the camera off the tripod, and we're just going to have a look at some of the preamp stage. So you can see some of these Sozo caps that we've got in here. Check out this valve socket here. You can see this is really good. They've got that mounted on some rubber bushes, and that's really good. Just honing on that so you can see it. Just look, can you see that? So that's a brilliant idea, because that helps with the old microphonic problems. I think the second stage tube is as well. Look, if we look down there, not pushing my finger in there because it is switched on at the minute, although I have turned the VVR down. So we've got this smooth switch that's there, and you can see there's quite a lot of capacitors and things going on there on those pots, and I don't know whether that's the tone stack that they've got going on there, because the volume and tone are on there as well as the smooth switch. So we've got that going on, but again, tracing this amp out would take a considerable amount of time, so we're only speculating, but that looks very much like the tone stack to me. And then we've got this item here, which at this moment I haven't been able to identify, but that seems to be connected to this bump switch. Now, someone commented on the channel that this bump switch lifts out the tone stack, bypasses the tone stack. I don't know whether that's the case, but most people on the channel know considerably more about this amp than I do. So just looking at some other bits of these preamp stages. So these two capacitors here are from the first stage decoupling, and we've got 100 nanofarad and we've got 47 nanofarad paralleled across that. So I've not seen that before. One or two iffy soldering joints though, if I were getting picky. And then we've got this item over here, and we've got a couple of, we've got a 4700 microfarad smoothing capacitor there. I can't see what's on that other one because it's been wired in face down, which is annoying. So we don't know what that part does, and again, without tracing this amp out, we're only ever speculating. This is not, you know, this amplifier is, it's not your average, you know, 15 watt tube amp or 20 watt tube amp or whatever. There is some, you know, some of the wiring on this is clever, and it's good. You know, the sound of this amp is incredible. It does sound great. It's always nice to just stick your head inside amps and just have a brief look. Can't find a schematic for this amp. I can't find one anywhere. We've got bridge rectifier over there in the corner. Now Matt, who also leaves me a lot of comments on the channel, did point out this VVR, and actually was the first person to comment and tell me what that actually is, because I thought that was a strange master volume, and I was beginning to wonder if there was a fault on it, but now I understand what it is. And one thing he did point out, that if that fails, you're dead in the water, as he put it, and that's probably true, because if that fails, the B plus fails, and so your amp goes technically back into standby. This amp does have a standby switch on. I dare say if that transistor blew, it would be back in standby. If it went dead short, well, then it'd probably just blow the fuse. I don't really understand how that's wired in. I have to say, I don't know a massive amount about transistors, on account as I don't particularly care for them, and valves or more, and tubes are more my field. But yeah, there he is down there. He looks beefy enough though, and you know, if that transistor's over spec, there's no reason why it should fail, and it probably is on this amp, because looking at everything else seems to be over spec, and that's one thing I like to see, is over spec. So yeah, this is a great amp. Now the other thing we wanted to turn his attention to was this tremolo, and another guy that comments on the channel, that leaves me a lot of good info, Gooden, he pointed out that the tremolo will sound a bit iffy when this VVR, when you're reducing the B plus voltage on the tubes, because of course that tremolo works off the bias, and we're reducing the bias as we reduce that VVR. So what I want to do now is, now I've got a bit more understanding of what's going on in this amp, I'm going to plug the guitar in again and just test that tremolo out, turning the VVR up and down. Right, so we've got the guitar plugged into it, and we've got the VVR turned down, so the B plus voltage is quite low, and I did measure that. It goes down to about 72 volts. So let's flirt in the tremolo. And you can see that sounds pretty awful. That really isn't working properly at all. And now you can see, now the VVR's full up and we've got full bias, full HT voltage. That now sounds great. So let's try the speed. Let's start to reduce this VVR again. And you see already that's half of the VVR. And the tremolo's getting a bit. We go down. So that tremolo does not work at all properly on when you turn that VVR down, even at halfway. Once you kind of get to about number 6 or 7, it smooths itself out. You can hear now, it's really, you can hear like a bumping, like a thumping pulsating going on there as well. So well, that's got to the bottom of why that was when I first plugged it in, and I'm thinking that tremolo's not working properly. It's because I'd got this really, I didn't test the tremolo when it was full up. I'd got it halfway down the VVR. I'd got the VVR off like 50%. The other problem with this tremolo is it's too slow. It's just a shade, and you see that's way too slow. Uncle Doug wouldn't be very happy with that, would he? He'd be saying there's no shimmer on it, it needs to be quicker all round. He'd be changing the capacitors in it. So I'm not, I have to say, I'm not a lover of a tremolo, but if you are, you might be a bit disappointed with that. But to be fair, if I was ever critical of this amp, that would be the only thing I am critical of. That's kind of, putting that tremolo on there is a good idea, but it's kind of gone pear-shaped when you reduce this VVR. So that's gone over a few things there on this amp to try and get a better understanding, and looking inside it as well. I'm sure for some people, maybe you've got one of these that's never had it open or looked inside, you now got a bit more of an idea of what what you've got. This is a brilliant amp, there's no doubt about it. This amp sounds phenomenal, and it's well made. It's not your PC board type of amp. It's properly hand wired, and it works great. It's got brilliant transformers on it. All the parts in it are top quality. It's most splendiferous. So the only problem is it isn't mine. The other thing to think about with these is actually how many they actually made, because bearing in mind now these amps haven't been made for over 10 years. I don't know how long they was in production for. I've not actually checked that, or how many they actually made. You can't have made that many, and they are quite rare, and I had actually never seen one of these until this one dropped into my lap. And yeah, so if anybody knows a bit more about these, I'd be welcome if they left that in the comments, how long they were manufactured for. They must be quite rare, and are they going up in value like everything else? Bit different to me. As I've got older, I seem to have gone down in value, but never mind. So there we go. That's just a little bit of a short video there, kind of just to amend all the things that I were a bit numpty on when I first plugged this amp in. So and I can hear Pink whining at the back door, so I'm going to sign off and go and let her in. So thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's been helpful to one or two people. Please subscribe to the channel if you wish to do so, and I'll see you all in another video. You all take care. Bye bye for now.